Hello everyone, my name is Nathan and today it's time for another episode of Oxygen Not Included. In the previous episode we built this farm slash slime processing unit. I let the game run for quite a few cycles, changed a few things here and there. I'm gonna try to mention everything I consider important. For instance, the slime storages, they should not be disinfected the entire time. This is just taking away a dupe's time to do something else. Another good example for such a thing is the liquid vent for the polluted water. This can just remain completely covered in germs, just disable the disinfect. One tip that you gave me that I now actually remembered is installing doors on either side of the bathrooms. However, the door that they aren't supposed to use in order to leave restrict access to only go one way. And you can do this right here as a default. So this door right here, they can only go in and not out. Therefore, they're still gonna wash their hands, but they can be a little bit quicker on the toilet. By now, I accumulated so much water that I had to install a couple of additional tanks, as you can see here, and we are still filling this bad boy up. So I dug towards the left side, so we now have the dimensions of the map towards the left side. I did the same thing on the right side where we have a little bit more space from the looks of it. Oh, the most important thing I almost forgot, we now have an additional dupe. We had so much food, so much oxygen, I thought this couldn't hurt. The new dupe is Harold the Cleaner. He's gonna be good in tidying and carrying especially. But I felt like my base never got cleaned up. The tidying job was just not important enough for anyone. So Harold has now a high priority in tidying. The next thing he's gonna do is storing, then supplying, and then everything else. Plus the lowest priority for building and digging. This way I can ensure that my sweep commands also take notice. Also, I had to upgrade the priority for both the algae distiller and the fertilizer synthesizer. Another thing I discovered here at the bottom is we have a little bit of a heat problem, to the point where we actually received sour gas. This happens if you heat up petroleum enough. Yeah, this is crazy. The reason this actually happened is because there was a gap towards the magma biome, and this was a natural gap and I just didn't see that, so the heat was able to seep through, and it did so actually in a great fashion, I have to admit. We can see some cool effects coming from that as the steam condenses back into water. We have some waterfalls here. This is crazy, but I had to do something about it. The oil pump was heating up to a dangerous level. So the way I did that is just, close this off from the heat. So now we should see, yeah, there is a much greater heat than on the other side. And so we prevented this leak from continuing on. But yeah, we can see the steam is already coming up to this point. This is actually dangerous, a dangerous territory. Another important milestone we reached is Otto, my researcher, actually reached mechatronics engineering. So now we can build everything, and Otto also has a high priority on building, and therefore we don't need to manipulate our operators' priorities anymore to get stuff built. So what are my next immediate goals? We soon enough need a cooling system, we still need a refinery setup, and we also need a better oxygen production than we currently have. However, I also would like to get around the map a little bit quicker. I would like to introduce the petroleum generators. Could we add them here maybe? Maybe we're just gonna go for 2 for the time being. We hook these up to our cables as per usual. We got 2 tanks here. Naturally, we need to bring over the petroleum that is currently residing right here. I guess we could just bring this up and run it along the top of our base. Bring it down to here and over into our 2 tanks. Great. We can connect the output directly to the inputs of the petroleum generator. And all we have to do is continue our ribbon story. Hold on, this shouldn't be a ribbon cable anymore. This should then be a normal cable like so. And we need a ribbon reader like so. The reason I want more energy production is actually, let's have a look into the research. I want to go into the next level of transportation, and that is of course transit tubes. This is going to be the way to move about the map in the future, so definitely worth researching. Ribbon reader is in place. This is gonna be bit 3, so we want the petroleum generators to activate at 40% battery load. Oh, by the way, just if it has been bothering you, I rearranged the cables so that now it makes more sense. just as a little side note there, my transit tube is gonna be going all the way down to here. Let me actually see, does this have like an overheat temperature? Oh, melting point of 160 degrees. Okay, so I will have to remember that. At the moment we cannot go all the way down because, well, actually it's back down to 100 degrees. So we should be fine. Let's get rid of that deodorizer very quickly. Otto, thank you very much. Naturally, we want a transit tube axis right here, and this alone requires 960 watts. This is crazy. Maybe in this case we can directly power it with the heavy watt wire. I know this has a little bit of a bad decor, or actually much of a... wow. Minus 282. I mean, this is suboptimal. However, we just have to increase the decor of everything else. Oh, also we're now getting Masterworks because I upgraded Lola the cook slash decorator. She's now got Masterworks decorating. Wait, are you telling me I need a 4 high axis, or can I go in like so? No. In this case I'm gonna lower the floor just by 1. There we go, that's gonna work much better. Now I can actually move over and down into the axis. We're gonna keep on building the tubes all the way down, and I'm actually gonna make a second axis right here. For that we slowly but surely wanna drag the heavy watt power cable all the way down. So 1 more axis right here, wonderful. And then we just keep going down and down. Yeah, that's how it goes. Another interesting aspect of the game is that the materials that you build with, the heat they currently have, is going to be represented in the buildings you build. So all these transit tubes came in this hot because of course of our natural gas room that is storing our plastic at a high temperature. Our petroleum generators are finally hooked up, the 2 liquid reservoirs already full. Now we just have to wait for the batteries to unload to 40% and they should be kicking in. There we go, just as a new day dawns, the petroleum generators are kicking in, and yes indeed, they managed to charge up the batteries. They're also producing some polluted water, and they seem to have absolutely no output, so all of this is accumulating carbon dioxide we will have to take care of. For now, I want to just keep going with my cables. I'm now actually gonna install a mod, just very briefly, in order to get rid of this vending machine and the table, so that I can continue with my constructions here. I mean, this is crazy. Why wouldn't the game allow me to remove stuff like this? Alrighty, as you can see, I made my way all the way down with the transit tubes. Not everything has been built yet. But we have our transit tube axis, and I also brought down the power. Our problem at the moment is this is way too hot. The liquid pump is broken, so I decided it's time to do something with that steam. We have to delete some of the heat that's in this room. In order to do that, we have to get back into researching, and what we want, obviously, is the steam turbine. We can do that since we have access to plastics. In the meantime, I'm actually gonna disable auto repair since this area is just way too hot. Maybe we're actually gonna make a new setup for our pump right here, and then we can also bring in some new oil from all of these pockets. Ooh, check this out, molten slickster. Yeah, let me do that. We're gonna grab the liquid pump and put it right over here. It's already cool enough in that location to do that. There we go. New pipes, everything else is going to be deconstructed. Should be working out. Let's also go ahead and ladder over a little bit in order to get access to the other pockets. Another thing I started doing is set up my cooling system. This is going to be the body of water I'm going to use in order to cool a lot of my systems. The reason I'm using polluted water is because of its freezing point is minus 20 degrees. So we can do a lot with that extra margin over normal water. Now preferably I would like less polluted oxygen to accumulate, so I'm already gonna close this off as much as possible. I'm actually even gonna move the liquid vent 1 block down. The polluted water I'm taking from here, this is actually germ-free polluted water that's coming from my generators. I also installed a couple of airflow tiles in order to help with the heat distribution. This is actually getting hotter and hotter. I might have to disable the petroleum generator again. It is just going nuts. Yeah, I think I'm gonna reactivate the coal generators to help out with that issue. I mean, after all, we are farming coal using our stone hatches, so we shouldn't feel bad about using it. Nice. Research completed. Perfect timing. There's a lot of steam to get rid of. Steam turbine can be built out of lead. That's good, though this has a minus overheat temperature, so we have to do something else. Let's use copper. We're gonna build the steam turbine right there, and oh no, I forgot, this actually needs to be hooked up to our power system. The steam turbine is gonna take the steam from the bottom room right there. It is going to convert the steam into 95-degree water as it produces energy. We are then going to take that water and trickle it down on top of the steam engine in order to help it cool down, I guess. Alright, the steam turbine is in place. This setup obviously is only going to be temporary, but it looks as though we need to heat it up just a bit more. We could go with a thermal aqua tuner, though I'm a little bit lazy to do this setup. All I want is to get rid of the steam. However, if I heat it up, does this even make sense? You know, heating something up to cool it down. Well, I'm up for the experiment. I'm gonna set up the heater right there. We're gonna hook it up to a thermo sensor though, which is set to 125 degrees or maybe 130. This building cannot heat the surrounding environment beyond 70 degrees. I should really read the tooltips. Well, in this case, I'm gonna be right back with an aqua tuner setup. Hold on. This was actually not that much of a setup. The aqua tuner essentially takes a liquid and lowers its heat by 14 degrees exactly. This machine is not magic. It's going to dump the heat in its surroundings, therefore heating up the steam to the temperature I need. However, also for this one, I might want to set up a thermo sensor just to not go crazy with this. My theory is that overall we're going to lower the temperature, and the reason for that is we are taking the oil, lowering its temperature and dumping it back down into the pool, therefore lowering the overall temperature of everything. However, for this to actually work, I need a functioning pump, so maybe we build another pump. I mean, it's not that much work, so once this pump has done its job and we have a lower temperature, we can reactivate the lower pump. We're making good progress with our polluted water cooling tank. I'm really looking forward to this. We're also going to use the aqua tuner trick for this one. The idea is that we can take any liquid or gas and just pipe it through here using radiant pipes, and this liquid here is going to be cooled down to a minus temperature, and this way we start to regulate the base much better. Send the green signal if the temperature is below 130 degrees. Ah, great. Okay, so now we can actually observe this. Going in at 119 degrees, coming out at 104 degrees. Great stuff. And this is now also producing much more heat around the aqua tuner. At least it should do that. Maybe to make this a little more effective, I'm gonna build some walls around it so we can heat up the steam and it doesn't just dissipate to the side. Ah, hold on. The turbine itself cannot be above 100 degrees, of course. Otherwise, it's not gonna produce water. It's just gonna produce more steam. New plan, we're gonna take a little bit of cold liquid in order to cool down this room. As it turns out, cooling down a biome takes a lot of effort, but we're getting there. Perfect. The steam turbine is below 100 degrees. Aqua tuner is running at its full potential, and this is not even heating up too much. We are cooling down the oil. This pump is not taking any more heat damage. Great stuff. Okay, I think we can just let this setup run until we have cooled down the entirety of this biome. In the meantime, I'm gonna take half of the oil back up to my base. Whoa, 64 kilograms of steam. I didn't even realize. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Coming in at 98 degrees, coming out at 72 degrees. Actually, one thing we should do is put insulated tiles here. Otherwise, we're just transferring the heat to the steam turbine, which is not good. But there we go. We have kickstarted the machine. We are now at least producing a little bit of energy. And also, we're trying to cool down the machine again, using the water it outputs. Alright then, we can actually think about a similar setup right here with a steam turbine in order to cool down this water pool. Let me come up with a little blueprint and we'll continue from there. Alrighty, we're back. It is the next day and also a couple of cycles later we are making somewhat of a progress. I mean, not too much, mind you. I figured out it helps tremendously if you have a layer of petroleum, for instance, or oil just laying on the floor, helping cool down the aqua tuners. They are just not fast enough in transferring the heat to the steam. Anyways, this is just a temporary setup. Let's actually get to the real thing in our base. Right here, this is the scenario that I prepared. This is still my germ-free polluted cooling tank. What I did is I changed the shape a little bit so we can have a pump at the bottom and also an axis at the top, actually from outside of our base, so they are already in their atmo suits. I also spread out a whole bunch of temp shift plates because obviously we want this liquid to be the same temperature overall. In order to cool down the liquid, we're going into the next room. This is where I'm gonna have my aqua tuners set up. The aqua tuners are going to cool down the polluted water in the pipes and therefore heating up the water we have on the floor right here, converting it into steam, where it can be picked up by a steam engine on the top floor. The steam engine itself we're gonna cool down by pumping in a whole bunch of hydrogen, and we could either set up a Wieswort, which is probably what I'm gonna do, or we could also use the condensed water we're bringing back into the aqua tuner room. I also already prepared all of the power lines, as you can see, and now we come to the most pressing machine we are supposed to build. This aqua tuner here, for instance, made out of gold amalgam, is already damaged a little bit. What we want to do is build aqua tuners out of steel. They can take a lot more heat. Steel we can make in the metal refinery using iron and also refined carbon. The refined carbon we get from our kilns right on the top here, and I already queued up a whole bunch of it. The metal refinery is not going to expel a lot of heat into the environment. However, you have to pump a liquid through it and all the heat is going to go into that liquid. Just until we have enough materials in order to get the aqua tuner built, I'm gonna cheat a little bit and I'm gonna bring up some oil into the refinery. And what we're gonna do with the output is we're simply gonna dump it back all the way down into the basement. Maybe at this point we can just go ahead and drop it. So let's go ahead and get this built. Then once we have enough steel in order to build the aqua tuners, we're of course gonna use our cooling solution in order to deal with the liquids. But it's very important that we get a little bit of steel in the joint. Here we can see the oil, or generally the coolant, filling up, which is great, and now we should be able to produce some steel, though we first have to make iron. Contrary to the rock crusher, you don't lose half of the mass. 100 kilograms in, 100 kilograms out, it's perfect. We're gonna do 10 crafts and kind of observe how that's going. Okay, Meep is doing it. Meep is freaking doing it. Let's check out what happens. Okay, it's doing one craft, heating up the coolant inside, and then it's coming out the other end. But check this out. It was coming in at 64 degrees, going up to 124, so adding 60 degrees. That's crazy. Thinking about it, I should have made this out of insulated piping, but you know, it's just for a very short amount of time. When we have the materials for the aqua tuner, we're good. You know what? I'm gonna replace them with insulated ones. Never mind. One more thing you mentioned that I just remembered is a lot of the time someone is going to this oil refinery in order to process just a tiny bit of petroleum. To make this a little bit better, we're gonna take the tank that empties the first, and whenever it is at the low threshold, it is going to send a green signal to the oil refinery. So only after we lose one tank worth of petroleum, the oil refinery will be used again. All we need to do in order to accomplish this is hook this up right there. Give me an automation bridge. Beautiful. So this is another task better regulated. One aqua tuner is gonna cost us 1,200 kilograms of steel. So we will have to make a lot more produce. I'm actually glad we did the insulated pipe thing. Still toasty here, but much better. Contrary to this mess, that's what it could be like upstairs. Whoa. Coming out at 216 degrees. Okay, now we have to change more stuff. Man. Ah, I see. Okay, so depending on what you craft, you add different amounts of temperature. For instance, we just crafted some steel and that added a whole lot more than the iron, for instance. Well, let's get started with the setup. Even though we don't have enough materials, I should be able to place it because of a mod that I have. Built without materials, I think. Again, mods listed in the description. By the way, check this out. Overheat temperature plus 200 degrees. Wow. While we wait for the refinery to cook up some stuff, we could think about the automation. We want to be able to detect how much steam we have in this room, and just in case, we want to have a liquid vent dropping in some more water when we need it. So we want to check the pressure with an atmo sensor. We can do that actually right here in the corner. Why the heck not? If the pressure is not high enough, we want to input some water at this point. So the water is going to be coming from this line probably. So we come over here up to this point, and then I'm probably going to switch to insulated pipes going down here directly into the vent. We then want to use some automation wire and hook this up to the liquid vent in order to be able to turn it on as needed. For now, I'm actually just gonna sever this connection, so if there is an automation wire not hooked up to anything, it's gonna send out a red signal and therefore shutting off this liquid vent. This also means we can actually get rid of the bottle emptier, because now we have a much smarter solution to drop the water in there. We're also gonna need to have some oil, and this is why I made this temporary setup, so I can bring in a layer of oil, helping with the heat distribution together with the temp shift plates made out of diamond. Whoa! 10 kilograms of polluted oxygen. How does it look germ-wise? Could be worse. Only 100k or so. Yeah, we gotta do something about that soon. Let's maybe think about the water flow. The liquid we want to cool down is the polluted water, and every time we run this through the aqua tuners, or before we run it through them, we want to check the temperature. In order to do that, we can use a liquid pipe thermosensor on a pipe just before we enter, but it has to be just before a liquid shutoff, so we can prevent the polluted water from entering the aqua tuner. This means liquid shutoff right here. I guess I have to swap this around, and then another liquid shutoff here, but we need the sensor first. Oh yes, there we go. I can do it like so. So now I can take the insulated piping. We're gonna go here through the sensor into the liquid shutoff, from the shutoff to the aqua tuner, and then it comes out on the other side going through another sensor into the shutoff into the aqua tuner. If it is still not cool enough, only then it goes through the second aqua tuner. And then finally we can complete the loop and actually get back into this liquid vent. So let's say we have our liquid pipe sensors right here, and here they're gonna shut this off. If it is turned off, then we wanna go down. Give me that insulated pipe. We wanna go down and exit the system back into the polluted water cooling tank. Something like this. Yeah, let's get this built. We can actually also provide this with power right there. Of course, we don't want to forget the automation wires from the sensors to the shutoffs. Looks like we ran out of lime. We can actually make that in the rock crusher. For instance, from fossil, we have tons and tons of fossil. Let's queue up 99 crafts. Now, I need to be a little bit careful. I might want to sever this connection until we're ready. The pump already started to pump a little bit. Oh, I just noticed something. Of course, this is not gonna have priority. It's just one thing going to the right, another thing going to the left. What we have to do in order to fix this is put the sensors one more block down. We're getting rid of the sensor I already placed, and this is going to allow us to add a liquid bridge for some priorities. Okay, again, liquid is going through the sensor, influencing this shutoff. It is then going down in all cases. As long as we have space in this pipe, it is going to have priority. White does have priority, so it's going to go up there. If there is no space because the liquid shutoff is turned off, it is gonna continue on its merry way, and that's how we're gonna do it. Said and done, everything rebuilt, it's time to set up the thermosensors. We wanna send a green signal and cool down the liquid if it is above 0 degrees. Let's try that number, we can always change it. One thing you don't wanna risk is actually get to the freezing point of the water. This is going to cause the liquid pipes to take damage. Supposedly, if you have less than 1 kilogram in a pipe, it doesn't damage it, but I've never tested that. Beautiful! Looks like our room here is almost completed. We just have to pour in a little bit of oil. We have to pour in a little bit of water. Is the water ready? Yeah, it's ready to go. Oil is ready to go as well. I'm actually now gonna sever this connection here as well, so we can utilize this oil right away. How much is this? How much do we even want per tile? We have an 11 wide room, so I want to use 11 of these packets, which results in 10 kilograms per tile. Let's see how that looks. So something like that, and we want to connect this. Let's see. Yeah, crude oil, 10 kilograms. I mean, it's occupying the entire tile anyway, so why don't we add a little bit more? You know, more thermal mass makes somehow sense to me. I added another load, so now we have 30 kilograms per tile. I think that should be enough. Next up, we want to add some water. Our room in size is 33. We want about 2 kilograms per tile. So let's say 6 to 7 packets of 10 kilograms. There we go. That should be 7 packets, and we are gonna release that by changing the state here. Sweet, the first row oil, second row some water. We should have enough. If everything is working as intended, we should be fine. I'm just gonna save this state because now we're gonna seal off this room, build a steam turbine on top of this. We're gonna add a wastewater plant as well as 2 kilograms of hydrogen. In order to get the hydrogen, we're actually gonna unlock the electrolyzer. I've never unlocked it this late in the game, but we were doing so well with the algae, I really wasn't in a hurry. So let's get our steam turbine in place right there and connect it up with the power. Then of course planter box with a wastewater. Research completed! Oh, my researcher is just great. He's doing things so quickly. Electrolyzer, I'm just gonna do this temporarily. We wanna collect some hydrogen on top of here. I'm gonna go ahead and pump this out with a mini pump and we are gonna bring it over, but let's not make the same mistake. We're gonna go with insulated pipes. We're gonna go ahead and bring this straight over here. And now, thinking about this, we can just set up the vent over here because this is a one-time thing. Once we have this full of hydrogen, we never need to take care of it anymore. However, what we definitely want to do is run this through a filter in order to make sure we only get the hydrogen. The electrolyzer is basically gonna take water and split it off into hydrogen and oxygen. It is gonna be heated up a little bit, but essentially you only need to supply power and water. So unbreathable gas, we want to filter out hydrogen. But there we go, electrolyzer is already going for it and it should be creating some hydrogen on the top there. There we go, our first packets of hydrogen and they are now filling up this room. Great stuff. Gonna take a while until we reach the 2 kilo mark. By the way, we have a ton of food. This is just absolutely incredible. My new strategy is to let the hatches grow up in the incubation room and then eventually just kill them off as they grow a little bit older and hopefully give off more meat. It is actually going faster than I anticipated. We're already halfway there. I cannot wait to get this machine started. One thing we shouldn't forget is get the liquid out of the steam turbine and then we want to bring it to the liquid shutoff, and we actually want this to have priority. In order to do that, we're gonna sever this connection, set up a liquid bridge like so. Green doesn't have priority, so the new fresh water, it will give way to the recycled water. And just to cool things off a tiny little bit more, I'm gonna use 2 radiant pipes in this location. We might even be tempted to set up a couple of temp shift plates for the steam turbine as well. Looks like we are ready to get things started. The room is still filling up with a little bit of hydrogen, but I feel confident we can get things rolling. Let's go ahead and connect the pipe, see if everything is working as intended. Going through, okay, it is green, which means it's going through the aqua tuner. It is still green because it is still not below 0 degrees, so it's gonna go through the second aqua tuner and then finally coming back. Oh, now I see the flaw. We need another liquid bridge jumping over these. So one will go right there, another one right there. I mean, now it looks kind of complicated, but obviously we want to sever this connection and we want to sever this connection, so it just takes the bridge. I think this should work. Actually, there we go. It's already built. Wow, this went quick. What's happening? Oh no, there's an insulated pipe that actually takes damage. Yeah, freeze point is minus 20 degrees. Maybe we went overboard with 0. Maybe we should go with 10 degrees, so it's lowering it down to 0. This is gonna give us a margin for all these extra packets that might sneak through. I loaded up my save game just before we got things started. Let's go ahead and put this to 10 degrees. Hopefully this way our pipes won't get cold damage. Gonna connect this again and get the machine rolling. Let's do this. Let's freaking do this. Just gonna observe the packets that come out of here at 4.1 degrees and sometimes they are at minus 10 degrees. So yeah. No, we still have some cold damage. Darn it! We might have to put the liquid vent one more block up, but it is a state change. So some of my polluted water still froze. One idea I have is to equalize the temperature using a liquid reservoir. So instead of pumping it directly into the room with various degrees, we are first gonna input it into our liquid tank, equalizing the temperature, and so it hopefully becomes a little more predictable. Said and done, everything is in place. Currently I have set the sensors to 20 degrees. Everything is gonna be equaled out. There's one more mistake I have to fix. We have to lead the pipe into this input, because if we lead it into the green input, it is gonna be stuck and cannot escape. So we really want to connect this and we want to connect this and therefore take apart the other connection, like so. So the water flows right here, goes up if there is space, if there's no space it goes right there, and then it moves to the next one. And with that out of the way, we're gonna get things started by hooking everything up. So this should flow right through. And now, of course, because we set it to the 20 degrees, it is not even going through the second aqua tuner at this point. Also note that each of these packets incoming has the exact same temperature, so that is a good thing. The packets coming out are all at 18.1 degrees. Yes, finally we can fine-tune this. Now we just have to wait for the water to heat up enough in order to turn on the steam engine. Okay, I built the liquid shutoffs out of the wrong material. You gotta be freaking kidding me. They have an overheat temperature. With a little bit of trickery, we can actually reach it. We just have to take apart the steam engine, build a tile here, take this apart, and... oh man. Wait, Ellie? Oh, tell me you can... oh my gosh! She can do it! She can freaking do it! I love her. I have no idea why this is working. So apparently we also want to build these liquid shutoffs out of steel, which means we need to craft a little something. Great, now we have an overheat temperature of 275 degrees. I'm taking that. Let's get back into business. Yeah, already we get some steam. It is distributing and it is definitely above 2 kilograms at the moment. We might have put a little too much water in it. Ah, there we go. We got our steam engine kicking in. Great, which means we should be seeing some water going through. At 94 degrees here it's heating up. Or, well, at the moment cooling down because the room is very cool. And then it is gonna go ahead and actually drip down. Though at the moment it is just accumulating because we have too much steam in the room. But you just saw, as soon as the steam engine takes up the steam, we are gonna dump in some more water. So far so good, coming in at 32 degrees, coming out at 18 degrees. Under these circumstances, I think we can risk going down to 15 degrees. Ah, there we go. Now the second aqua tuner is turning on occasionally, and we are getting packets at 4.1 degrees. Hopefully that was not a mistake. Nice, now we're coming out either at 18 degrees or 4 degrees, which means we should be cooling this down eventually, and thanks to the temp shift plates, this is gonna distribute very quickly. I love it. Well guys, I consider this working now. The last thing we need to do is hook this up as well, so just in case we run out of liquid or so, we can help out a little bit. Nice, nice, check this out. 517 watts, 600, 700, I love it. With that out of the way, thank you so much for watching guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Have a great time and hopefully I'm going to catch you in the next one. Bye bye.